Perfect. So, I'm here in Dublin, and it is about 5 o'clock in the evening. Jodie is on the west coast of the United States. And what time in the morning is it over there, Jodie?
9 o'clock in the morning for me.
9 in the morning. So we're covering 9 to 5 here, all in the one go. So welcome to everybody. Feel free to put your type into the chat box where you're tuning in from, what country you're in, and what you're hoping to get out of today's masterclass. We will give it another minute or so before we get officially started. Um, but we do want to respect respect your time, and so we won't wait too long. So let me see here. We've got people coming in
It
from
started. I was afraid I was late.
Spain,
Yeah.
Texas, Canada, Hungary, the UK, Texas. Orla, you must be on holidays in Spain, are you? Because I know that you're from Wicklow. Costa Blanca in Spain,
I am
lovely.
here, Cormac. I'm here for the summer.
Oh, you're there for the summer. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So it
lovely.
forced me
Not
to work
half
on, well, it's
jealous.
actually forcing me to work online, which is something I had a fear of.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's not going too
Yeah.
bad.
Fantastic. Good on you. Nice to see you anyways. Ricky. Oh, hi Ricky. Yeah, Ricky's in Canada. Rosman is in Hungary.
Leslie's in Washington with me.
Yeah.
Ah, fantastic. Leslie's in Washington. Hi Leslie.
Hi.
Oh
And
yeah, and
Hello
Jeremy.
Hypnosis
Jeremy's in
up
Washington.
Galway. Hello Hypnosis Galway.
Hi.
Yep. I'm a Galway man, so happy to have
Linda.
Galway back up here. Okay, so um will we just jump straight into it, Jodie? Ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll keep letting
Okay.
people in as they come in and we'll be rolling.
Perfect. So, first of all, a very warm welcome to you all. I very much appreciate that you've taken time out of your day to come here and join us. Um, we wanted to give you something that's going to be really worth your while. So we do appreciate that you're taking time. I want to give you something that was really worth your while. So both Jodie and I have been looking at this for quite a while and deciding, okay, what's the best thing that we can give to you in the time allowed? So do we kind of take a deep dive into one particular technique, or do we give you some golden nuggets from a whole lot of different areas? And we decided to go with the golden nuggets. So we are going to we're going to, first of all, like, I want to talk to you about why working with addiction is useful. I want to dispel a few myths about who addicts are, especially the addicts that come to a private hypnotherapist. So, what I'd like you to do for a moment is to just close your eyes and to just think to yourself, who is an addict? Just get a sense in your own mind of who is an addict, what is an addict, with your eyes closed, and just let kind of whatever comes to mind come to mind, and just becoming aware of who an addict is. Where do you see them? What kind of jobs do they have, or do they have a job? Where do they spend their time? Just getting a sense of that in your own mind. What backgrounds do they have? Socioeconomic backgrounds do they have? Then I want you to open your eyes again. And so I'm not going to go through it with everyone here, but typically when we do this, people's idea of who an addict is, they kind of see a down and out. They see someone on the street. They see someone holding like a bottle of whiskey in a brown paper bag. And what I want to tell you, they also see someone that's in trouble with the law, things like that. I want to tell you guys that the kind of people that come to a private hypnotherapy practice for addiction training is not that person. The kind of person that would come to you for your help, they're people that they're in well-paying jobs. They're barristers, they're solicitors, they're bankers, they're teachers, they are accountants, some of them are therapists themselves. Um, there are people that are spending a lot of money on their problem and are therefore quite willing to spend a lot of money on their solution. So it's actually quite a lucrative area to be working in addiction for you as a hypnotherapist. Indeed, if you want to develop your practice, if you want to become, have a six-figure income, which most people do that are in this. If you want to have a six-figure income, then something like working in addiction is a fantastic way to go about that. So these people that we see, why do they want to work? Why do they want to go to hypnotherapy as opposed to going to a rehab clinic or going to an AA meeting or traditional addiction therapy? So the reason that we see is that because they've got jobs, because they run businesses, because they're people that, there's stigma around their addiction. They don't want other people knowing. So something like taking a month off or 2 months off of work to go to a rehab clinic, it's not an option for them. It's not something that they're really willing to entertain. Also, a lot of the addicts that you work with, it's not that it's like they tend to be highly functioning as well. Like they are holding down good jobs. They are stand-up members in their community and in society. So they don't want to be going down to the local AA meeting or Narcotics Anonymous meeting. They don't want to be in those places. It's just something that's like, it's not an option for them. And traditional addiction counseling, so all of you here, I think most of you here are hypnotherapists, and you probably know a lot of the difference between traditional counseling and hypnotherapy. And really what we get to do, we've got that advantage of having to go to the subconscious level of the mind where the actual addiction lies. And because we get to go there, we get to get results quickly. So when we can speak to a potential client and they know that we can actually help them in with 3 sessions or 4 or 5 sessions, there's a few different frameworks that we can teach you. But when they know that they can come to us for just a few sessions and their addiction is gone, I mean, now we become really, really appealing to them, really, really appealing to them. So there is a market out there of people that do have the money to pay your fees, and they're quite happy to pay $1,000 or $2,000, like from one client, for you to help them to bring them through a process from addiction out to clean on the other side. In fact, they're very happy to do so. So there's a big market, and unfortunately for society, but maybe fortunately for us, that market is growing, right? Because there's addiction to there's drug addictions, there's alcohol addictions, there's gambling addictions, there's phone addictions, there's pornography addictions, anything that's there that takes us from reality into a different space. Because of the way modern society is, people want escape, don't they? And they're choosing these things as their escape. That's actually their subconscious mind finding a solution for them. So they're choosing these things as an escape. So let's look then at our side as hypnotherapists. Why do hypnotherapists not want to work with addiction? Well, Jodie and I have been speaking about this, and we've talked to so many people that said, no, I don't want to work in addiction, don't want to work in addiction. And when we look at it, there's 2 main things. One is their idea of who an addict is. They're going, I don't want that person coming into my clinic, because they've got a misunderstanding of who their client is going to be. Your client, as a private practicing hypnotherapist, is not going to be that person that you may have picked as a down and out addict. Your person as a private practicing hypnotherapist is going to be that person that is a stand-up person in the community. That's who they are, and that's who will be coming to you. So another reason is that the hypnotherapists don't work in addiction is because people say, I just don't know how to. I don't have any frameworks. I don't have any good, solid methods and methodologies that I can lead them through. If only I had something that I can say, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do over these sessions, then I'll be able to do it. And, there's this whole thing about failure And this idea of like, because with addiction, it's kind of black or white to a certain amount. They either stop doing the thing or they stay doing it. And a lot of hypnotherapists just don't like that idea because you've almost like feeling like you're the one that's failed. So, with all of that, what we're looking at is there's a big gap in the market for hypnotherapists like you to work with addiction. It is probably the most lucrative of niches in hypnotherapy that you can work in. Because these people pay so much for their problem, they're quite happy to pay for the solution as well. There's not enough of us going into that area because people don't have a solid framework that they can be happy with, that if they lead their clients through this, that they'll get them the result they need on the other side. And then why now? Why would now be a good time for you to jump into the area of working with addiction? Well, we were talking about this, Jodie and I, and first of all, the fact that you're here listening to this means you're in that top 1%, maybe 0.1% of hypnotherapists that are actually actively looking into the area of working with addiction. Um, have you considered like that, if you're a first mover, you can become the go-to person in your area for addiction? And what would that be like for you to be that person that's well known? Here's a few other little kind of tips. When you're working in addiction, um, it's easy to get good advertising because think about this, media, they like the idea of addiction, don't they? As in, they like stories about cocaine, drugs, gambling. These are things that sell. Now, if you were able to put a nice little press release together, and these are actually quite easy things to do, especially with the advent of AI. You can speak to your local press and say, "I'm the person in the area that's doing this. I actually run this type of this program for addicts," and all of a sudden now you're a person of authority in your area, and you can become that go-to person. You can become the first mover. You can become like the Tesla cars of hypnotherapy, by being that first mover in your area, by being that go-to person for work with addiction. And it is very much if you're interested in building a practice. Now, I know there's people here, some people are starting off, some people are quite experienced. Um, if you want to build a solid practice that earns you six figures per annum, then bringing in addiction work into your practice is a crucial area, crucial thing to be doing. And when you are that go-to person and people hear about you, then more people hear about you, more people hear about you, you can become that person that's spoken about. We're going to show you stuff about like how Jodie and I came together. I've been working in addiction for years, and Jodie has specialized pretty much her whole career in trauma. And one of the benefits that we're going to have here is that um, when someone comes to you for an addiction, you help them with addiction. What you're really going to be helping them with is whole big areas of their life, because behind the addiction is the trauma. And when we get to clear that, you're changing lives massively. And why am I in it working addiction? Why is Jodie working addiction? We feel quite strongly about it. We feel quite passionate about it. And I just want to share maybe, I'll share a story about clients that I was working with there in the past year. A couple, they're in their mid-30s and they're a married couple, and they have, I don't know, I think four children, two teenagers and two small children. And both of them became addicted to cocaine. And then there were never really people that thought they'd become addicts or anything. They weren't taking it when they were younger, but they started taking it on a few nights out. And then during COVID, they kept taking it, but they were taking it at home. And then it became a thing that they were doing at home. That couple, they lost their children. Their children had to go. They were taken away from them. Four children, two teenagers, and like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And they had lost their children for almost a year. Imagine like a 3-year-old and you can't see them. Like they could go and visit them, but they couldn't be the parents of their own children. And they were desperate because this bloody cocaine was such a scourge on them. They were not able to shake it. And when I spoke to them about it, I assured them that I'd be able to help them overcome it and to leave it behind. And so we did. I brought them through it like a 3-session framework that has brought them out the other side. Not only do they not take it, but they don't think about it. Those old patterns of the mind that used to come up and make them like go towards the cocaine every night, that's gone. They're no longer an issue for them anymore. And so these people were able to get clean and get clean for long enough to actually bring their children back into their home. So the reason I'm saying this is it's not just the person that you're working with that you're helping. You're helping whole families when you work with addiction, because it just spreads its ugly claws out into so many areas. And when you work with that, when you work with addiction, you're cleaning that back up again, and you're helping people that you're never even going to meet, and they'll never meet you, and they won't even know how much of how much of a benefit and how much of a good role that you've played in their lives. So there's something really powerful and special about being in that area helping these people, because they're just normal people, but they got stuck. It's nearly like the tide went out and they got stuck with their addiction, and it's easy for it to happen. It's easy for it to happen. I watch football. I'm here in Ireland, and we tend to watch the Premier League in the UK. But I follow Liverpool, and they won the league last year. And if you watch any game, all along all the ads at halftime and all the hoarding along the side, they're all betting. They're all gambling. It's a horrible industry that's just designed specifically. The football betting is designed to separate young men from their money. But it goes way further, because I mean, you can lose your life after 40 years of smoking or drinking. You could lose your home within a month of betting. So there's a big no, beyond just working with people and earning your money and having a business yourself. There's something really special about working in addiction where we can really help people. Jodie, you had a story about a lady you were working with in a Fortune 500 company, isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely, here in Seattle. And one of the things that I absolutely love working with Cormac is he gets very passionate and very excited and wants to tell you all of the things. And Cormac, we haven't actually told them who we are yet.
We haven't told them who we are yet.
And
Go
some of
ahead,
the
you
people
start.
here know you. Some of the people here know me. Some of them know both of us. And so I want to tell you just a little bit about some of the work that I've done and the story that Cormac's asking me to share. And then why don't we introduce each other at that point, and we can tell everybody a little bit about why we do the kind of work that we do and why we're so passionate about that. And I did get a question or two in here about questions. And so we are going to have time for questions. So Cormac, would you like to have everybody save those until the end?
Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, we will have time for questions. So please hold on to those for us, and we will make sure to answer all of them. So the family in question that Cormac was just mentioning that I worked with, I was telling him the story of this mother who was a Fortune 500 exec here in Seattle, who had past trauma from childhood sexual abuse and was co-parenting with her narcissistic abusive ex. For her 4-year-old son. She had a new partner. She wanted to get married. She wanted to have another baby. But because she was numbing and utilizing here in Washington, especially where I live, marijuana is legal. And so we have dispensaries and they're not inexpensive, that's for sure. But her marijuana addiction to numb and avoid the pain was literally taking her away from her work, away from her time with her son. She was spending thousands of dollars and dozens of hours in the bathroom, basically hiding from her life every day, really unable to function. And her health was affected. And so she couldn't actually have another baby. And so she came to me to break free from that cycle and really step into the life that she was dreaming of, which I'm now so thrilled to say that she has been able to do. She's been able to now get married to her new, healthier partner, to be able to start to try to expand their family. And she's really excelling in her career and feeling like she has now been able to become the parent that she wanted to be and that she always wanted to have for herself. And so these are the kinds of families when we're talking about addiction and helping people to overcome that, there's all different ways that those addictions can manifest. And also, we can help not only that individual, but literally break those generational cycles. And you'll never know how far that ripple effect goes, but how many people that you can really help doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Jodie. And let me actually introduce you guys to Jodie, because I know we've got people tuning in here from all different parts of the world. Some of you already know about Jodie and the fantastic work she does. Dr. Jodie Solberg, in fact, give her full title. And Jodie has been working in kind of the field of mental and behavioral health for over 25 years. Now, you probably wouldn't think to look at her that she's been working as a professional for 25 years, but that is Jodie, and she has specialized her entire career in working with trauma, from like abuse to addiction. She's even had 10 years of like her kind of formative years working in the criminal justice system in the US around drug and alcohol, with drug and alcohol convictions. She's learned it the hard way, I suppose. She's certainly been in there, in the deep end, learning how to swim. Also, Jodie is an international best-selling author. She's a highly acclaimed speaker, and she is the president of her NGH chapter over in Washington State. Um, I first met Jodie, I'd say less than 3 months ago. She was speaking at a conference in St. Louis, and I was speaking there as well. And we just saw a great um, potential in the kind of work that we do around addiction. Um, so, Jodie, back to you there. You can tell them a little bit about me.
Yes, Cormac, thank you so much. I'd be happy to do that. And I have to say, we are getting great feedback already in the chat. Melissa said that this makes so much sense, everything that you've already shared, that she was one who wouldn't work with addicts in the past, but does help people with smoking and weight loss all the time. You know, tobacco and food, absolutely, you're right, can become addictions, as can many other things. And Cormac has nearly 2 decades himself of experience in hypnotherapy and coaching. And he is a phenomenal award-winning hypnotherapist and trainer who truly has empowered thousands of people to unlock their potential to achieve really remarkable transformations in their lives and their businesses. I know his educational background is in both business and psychology, which really comes together to bring a unique perspective that enhances his ability to really create instant transformation in the lives of clients, but also to be able to transfer those skills and protocols to the people that he trains. He has a signature and extremely effective and powerful method called the ICANN method. And he really has been recognized rightfully for his exceptional skills, gaining national recognition, of course, in Ireland. Like he was talking about the press releases. I know he's been on a lot of radio and news programs. And one of the things that really impressed me the most after we met in St. Louis was his unique ability to really blend his expertise and his business acumen with the genuine care he really truly has for clients and every single person who comes through his training programs. I had the privilege of being able to join him in Dublin for his cocaine addiction hypnotherapy program in May, which has received so many 5-star reviews for good reason. I was able to go and add my expertise in trauma as well as addiction to that program. And that's really where our partnership was developed and evolved to where it is today. So happy to be here with him and with all of you today and talking about this really important topic, because he's right. There's not enough coverage in this industry. There's such an opportunity for people to get into this. And I know,
Alexander,
let's make sure
buddy,
we mute.
buddy.
Let me see if I can help with that a little bit. There we go. Make sure that there's no background noise there. I appreciate it, everyone. And so, yeah, I think this is such a great topic, and I am so glad that you're all here today. So, Cormac, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. You might want to get pen and paper ready for this. So we're going to start with the idea of the phone process. So when people know about you, they'll want to eventually speak to you. And when you're speaking to someone, you need to be able to make sure that that person becomes a client of yours. Now, I would first of all say there's a way of being, there's a mindset that you have to have. Think about the journey that they've come on before they're speaking to you. They've had an addiction for possibly years. Maybe they've denied it for years. Then they've had to go to a place where they've accepted that it's an addiction and it's a problem in their lives. From there, they may have been in that space for years. Eventually, they decide to look for help. Maybe they've looked for help from other people before they look for help from you. So they've already come on a long journey before they're speaking to you. So the mindset I would like you to have is that it's your responsibility to ensure they become your client. It's incumbent upon you, if you're speaking to them, that they become your client because you have the skills to help this person. So that's for the mindset that you need to have right from the start. Now, there's ways that we can teach you about like how to talk to them and all that, but I wanted to I know it's time. There's only so much I can give you, so I wanted to give you this one, a nice embedded command. If I'm speaking to someone on the phone, so we know hypnosis starts on the phone, right? We got to set expectation. We've got to give them the idea that like that where they are now, that they're going to leave their problem in the past and move forward with a sense of freedom. So here's a little embedded command. Now, most of my formative years in hypnosis was my earlier training was Ericksonian and conversational hypnosis, and so the embedded command when you're speaking to somebody and they want to quit something, maybe they want to quit smoking. Most people here probably have worked with smokers. They want to quit smoking. The embedded command is those who quit with me. I'll use Jodie's name. Those who quit with me, Jodie, don't experience cravings or withdrawal symptoms because. And the reason that those who quit with me, Jodie, stay off them for good is because there's no such thing as withdrawal symptoms or cravings. All of those people who quit with me, Jodie, will tell you that it feels like they were never a smoker in the first place. You get the idea I'm trying to make here. So we're using the embedded command, quit with me. And what I would like you to do is you embed it, you hide it in your conversation, but you use the person's name. So it's like, quit with me, Jodie, quit with me, Jodie, quit with me, Jodie. Do it at least 3 times. Their conscious mind will not pick it up as long as you put it into a sentence that flows. So the reason that those who quit with me, Jodie, stay off cigarettes for good is because. And in fact, most of those people who quit with me, Jodie, will tell you it felt like they never smoked in the first place because. Okay? So you've started the hypnosis, you've given them an embedded command 3 times to 5 times, along with everything else you're saying. So it's obviously not going to be the thing that makes the sale, but it is putting a suggestion deep into their mind, not just so that they can become your clients, but you've already given the suggestion that they're going to quit with you. It started, the hypnosis has started. Okay, so that's the first one. And then we get the person into our clinic. Your pre-talk, it cannot be, it's not just information gathering. Your pre-talk needs to be the start of the hypnosis. It's such a wonderful opportunity for us to start that change work. We can tell them, we set realistic set with them, like it's not a magic wand. You're not doing hypnosis to the person, you're doing it with them so they understand that like they're part of the process. All change has to come from within. So they need to own the process and they need to just follow what we're asking them to do. We need to understand things about why they want to quit. And when we ask them that, we're writing things down. We're writing down their words. So if they say to you, it feels like a cloud over my head, we don't say back to them, it feels like a darkness over your head. We say it feels like a cloud over your head. So we got to use exactly their words, exactly their metaphors. So in that pre-talk, we can talk about, I generally like to say to my client, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'll point out like that and I'll say, there's nothing wrong with you. I'll use my full hand. All that's wrong here is these thoughts and behaviors you've been entertaining. So see the difference? So we respond primarily and much more so to visual cues than verbal. So we said, there's nothing wrong with you. And we put our hand over there and we look, it's only those thoughts and feelings and behaviors that you've been entertaining. That's what we need to change over there. That lifts a weight off their shoulders straight away. And then we go into talking about, so there's nothing wrong with them. The addiction was the solution their subconscious mind chose. So there was an intention behind the addiction. And Jodie, can you pick up from there on the intention versus strategy thing?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, from a trauma-informed perspective, it's really important with that pre-talk to do exactly what Cormac was just saying, which is to utilize their words to start to learn how they're describing. And when we're talking about intention versus strategy, we really want to validate that coping strategy. And how we do that is, you know, that we can really reframe that habit, that addiction, as it's something that wasn't necessarily the problem because they're coming in with all this shame, this guilt, feeling like they're bad, this addiction is so bad. But we can really help them reframe that as that was actually their system's solution to the problem. And that shift can change everything because when we're looking at how did this develop, it likely was something that was helping them to cope, helping them to get through, helping them to survive. And so when we're showing that to them and saying it wasn't necessarily a negative intention that your subconscious was creating, it was actually a positive intention to protect you, to support you, to make it through. But the strategy is the thing that really has been maladaptive. It's the thing that hasn't been helping them anymore. It's not serving and supporting them. That first time, sure. But now it's detrimental to them. You know, they are coming to you because they want to make that change. And so we can really show them that it's not that they're bad or that that intention was bad. It was just the strategy that has been chosen that can be changed. And so we can help them to shift that and change the strategy. And what that can do is just literally visibly lift a weight from their mind and off of their shoulders, off of their chest, wherever they've been holding that. It's so incredible to have someone see that, oh, wow, my subconscious chose this strategy for a positive reason, which means now I can choose a different strategy, and we get to help them do that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thanks. It's really well explained there because, like, when they get that sense that, like, it's not all bad, like, there was a positive intention behind this, it lifts the weight off their shoulders. And we actually move into, we use that explanation to them for further in the session. We do a kind of form of parts therapy. And the thing with the parts therapy is, like, you know, if you've learned it before, you probably understand lots of parts therapy that's been taught out there. Traditional parts therapy, it's quite limited, and the way we have adapted it here for addiction is, we kind of call it an upgrade on it because we're helping them understand there's a part of you that wants to continue this behavior. There's another big part of you that doesn't. And that part of you that wants to continue that behavior, it has a positive intent and it needs to be acknowledged. And in hypnosis, we need to acknowledge it. We need to say, okay, thanks for what you're trying to do, but what you're actually doing isn't helpful. It's not serving the client in any way that's beneficial in their lives. And so we need to help them find a different way of meeting the need. And when they find that different way of meeting the need, we need to integrate it rapidly. And we need to make sure we have ways of helping the unconscious mind to integrate it rapidly for them. And there's a few nice tools and techniques that we use here that help that. But just kind of for the overall for you, the intention versus strategy, you understand that the intention of the subconscious mind was a positive intent. The intention behind that part of the person that runs the addiction had a positive intent. It's meeting a need. That's why it's kept. It's meeting a need, or it's meeting a perceived need sometimes. And so when the unconscious mind can be sent back in to meet that need in a better way, then it comes up with that better way, and then we integrate that better way. That creates really instant change for people. So we want then to we want them to come up with alternatives, and we want their unconscious mind to come up with alternatives. But I do like to speak to clients, even in the pre-talk, to maybe to enhance their experience when they're in hypnosis about alternatives. Now, what's the one thing that we might be tempted to say, but we should never say it to someone around alternatives? You know what you should do? You should do this. Who likes being told what they should do? Yeah, no one's hand goes up there, right? Of course, we don't like to be told what we should do. Would you like a way of being able to tell people what they should do without telling them this is what you should do? So here's a nice way of doing it. So let's just say a lot of the clients that I work with. So if I have men in their 30s or 40s or 50s, and I think it might suit them. So I might be thinking, okay, this person could do it exercising, maybe going out for a run every evening instead of sitting down and taking the cocaine or whatever the addiction is. This person could do it going out for a run. I quite like myself jumping into a cold plunge in the morning. So I have an outside my back, and I sit into the cold plunge. And during this time of year, it's not very cold now, but during the winter, the water that comes out of the tap in Ireland is cold, and it gives you a right shock to the system. And it actually releases dopamine and all that, so it's really useful. So how do we say to someone what they should do? I generally throw out a few of these ideas, and I say, here's the phrase: it doesn't have to be exercise, but it could. It doesn't have to be cold plunge, but it could. It doesn't have to be meditation, but it could. It doesn't have to be X, but it could. It doesn't have to be Y, but it could. So that's how we can give them suggestions of something that's good for them in a way that they will accept it, they will at least consider, rather than being told what we should do. So it doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be this. And I also qualify it with saying, by the way, this isn't the solution to the problem, but it can certainly be part of the solution. So where are we going? Oh, yes, this one's really important. So we want them to understand the real choice that they're making, the real decision that they're making. So they're not coming into you. A smoker is not coming into you to quit smoking. If smoking wasn't bad for them, they wouldn't be coming into you. They're coming into you for a different reason. They're coming into you because they want to choose a future. They want to choose a quality of life, and that's where we need to have them focused on. The real choice. What's the real decision that they're making? The real decision that they're making is they're choosing, what kind of future do I want? How do I want my health to be? So, whether that's with gambling or any other kind of addiction, we need to know, why do they want to quit? So what does that mean? What's the real choice that they're making? So if it wasn't bad for them, if it wasn't hurting their lives, they probably wouldn't be there looking to make that change. So it's, how does this impact? So I will always say, I say to every smoker, you're here to quit smoking, but you're not here to quit smoking, really. You're here for something else, aren't you? You're here because of, and we get them to tell us then. We prompt them, but we get them to tell us, like, why, how the continuing that habit has an impact. See, it's not the actual habit itself as much as the consequence of the habit, isn't it? So it's a really powerful reframe. So working with any kind of addiction clients, use that reframe. What's the real choice that you're making? And then if you're doing things like bringing people, like creating motivation, like maybe you use a technique around the road on the left and the road on the right. You're at a fork in the road in your life, and we can go out to this road continuing to use, or this road with freedom, and look at the difference. If you're using things like that, having already set it up, primed the mind with understanding the real choice that they're making, adds a massive power to your sessions. Real power. Because people will literally be saying to you afterwards, wow. And they'll be like a sigh. A side note, a sigh. I was actually listening to Richard Bandler there recently again, and he reminded me of this. Um, a sigh. So when do we sigh? We sigh at the end of something, don't we? it's a nice little thing to do. Once you finish your session with the client and you count them back up, 1 up to 5, and you count them back, it's a nice little thing to do because it's an unconscious way of saying that's over. That thing is finished. And when you sigh, they can do it as well. Would you like to have your clients say that the session was good directly afterwards? This is what I do when we finish the session. Once they open their eyes, I go, good, 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 good. How you feeling? How was that? What's the word they're going to say? Good. And when you say when they say it, okay, what was good about it? So now we get them to jump in further and assess what was good and how they feel good about that. So we're locking it in, we're locking it in, we're locking it in, okay? So there's a few little things. I am conscious of the time. Jodie is going to talk to you about reconnection though. Jump in there, Jodie. I'll go quiet for a while.
Okay, sounds good. One of the things that I want to point out from that trauma perspective about the sigh is actually that's a nervous system release as well. So whenever we have a sigh like that, it really helps to relax their nervous system. And with the clients that we're working with, often from a very young age, we've all been programmed to disconnect. Like our minds are over here and our bodies are over here somewhere. And that is not the case. Our thoughts actually create emotions, which are physiological responses in our body. So think about that. I want you to think about in your mind, if you're nervous about something, if you're going to go speak in front of a big group, do a presentation, something like that, and you have a little bit of stage fright, you're nervous, you're anxious, how do you even know that that's how you feel? Well, it's actually because your breath might quicken, your heart rate might speed up, you may get sweaty palms, butterflies in your stomach, things like that. Everyone carries that in a little bit different way. But often our clients aren't putting those two things together of the scenario that's going through their mind and how their body's reacting. Because from the moment we go to school as children, we're told all of a sudden, you don't know your own self and what you need. If you are hungry, you have to wait until the bell rings and it's time for lunch. If you are thirsty, you have to ask permission and wait till it's time to go get a drink of water or use the restroom or whatever the case might be. And so we actually get really programmed to disconnect from our feelings and to override. So we're constantly overriding how we're feeling and trying to just push it down and push through. And so those things really get stored in the system. And then people are trying to find, as adults, ways to just get over it, push it down, and not acknowledge what their needs are. And so we can actually help them to reconnect with themselves and to do things like regulate their nervous system. And so that's a big part of what I do and what I teach my clients and the people that I train is how do we make sure that we're regulated and how do we teach other people to do that? And exactly what Cormac was just talking about with that sigh is one way to do that, to mirror that and to model that regulation for people and to help them to release those things that they have been holding in their nervous system and really get reconnected, which is a huge benefit because then they can hit that pause button. And those things that triggered them before to go down that old path, they're going to be able to hit that pause and choose how to respond and go on that new path and that fork in the road.
Yep, fantastic. And I didn't even ask you guys earlier. I am towards the end of this session. We are actually going to show you how you can do further training with us. And I'm looking at times here. I'm meant to get into that now, but there's one or two more things I want to give you before we go down there, if that's okay. You might want to write down this as well. So what happens when someone when that addiction process starts? So a typical one I work with here in South Dublin is a cocaine addiction. And so lots of my clients, they might not take it during the week, but then since the weekend comes, it just happens to take it all the time. And they're in work on a Friday afternoon and they're saying to themselves, no, I'm not taking it. I'm giving it up. I'm not taking it anymore. The thought process comes in and next thing they have take their phone out, they text their dealer and I believe it's quicker to get cocaine delivered nowadays than a Domino's pizza. So they text and that's the process starts, and then they end up taking that drug. Think about it like this, right? That thought process, that itself is a form of hypnosis, the form of negative hypnosis. So there's the emotion and there's logic. And the logic is saying, no, no, I'm not going to do it, not going to do it. But the emotion begins to build. And it's a pattern, right? Because it's been happening all the time. The emotion creates this pattern, and that pattern leads to them taking that drug. It's going to be the same thing with gambling. It's going to be the same thing with many, many other addictions. So when we can help our client understand that that itself is hypnosis, that's a negative hypnosis, we can actually, we can hijack that process. So think about this. The thought process is there. And that thought process leads them out to here all the time, leads them to taking the drug, to taking the drug, to taking the drug. We can hijack that thought process and send it in a different direction. We can send it off over there or send it off over there. Instead of sending it to taking the drug each time, we can hijack it. And here, I'm going to give you a nice quick way of doing it. So this is what we do. In trance, we get the person to imagine that they're there in that situation where they're about to take that drug or repeat that unwanted behavior. See yourself there. Here, see the people that are around you, or if there's no other person around you. See yourself maybe pouring the cocaine onto the table and cutting it up and rolling up the nose to sniff it, or the straw. Like, we put them into the situation. And then when they're in it, we give them a pause. We say, okay, just before you do that behavior, pause. Step outside of the body. So we're in the situation, and we use all the language that we know, like about, bringing them into the situation, associating them to it. Pause, float out of your own body. We float out of our own body, we go over to the side here, and we look back. Straight away, we're getting different perspective, right? We're getting a different perspective. From a different perspective, what can happen? I would suggest to my clients that you can get new insights, new understandings, fresh perspective, new behavior, maybe even notice what you want to say to that you over there. And while you're outside, so what we're doing is that addictive trance state has been controlling them. We bring them right to the precipice. We pull them out of their own body. We get them to look back from a different perspective, so they're not stuck in that thing anymore. They see from a different point of view. And we help them to understand, what's the big picture? What actually do I really want here? Do I want to stay stuck in that habit with all the shame that goes with it and how it ruins my life? Or do I want something different? So we get them to connect with what they really want. And then we can help them go back into that body and choose a different option. Choose a different thing to do. So when I'd be using that, I would do that like certainly 3 times in a row. I might even get them, open your eyes now, close your eyes again, just to kind of break the state, and then do it again. And it's very powerful. What you're doing is you're breaking the addictive state. You're breaking them out of that. So now they've learned at that deeper unconscious level that when that process that used to start and take over, now they've learned that that doesn't have to take over anymore, and that they can be in charge. And so we use that language to them as well. We tell them, so now you realize that you're in charge, you're in the driver's seat. That doesn't have to control you anymore. I like the term hijack the mind. Maybe that mind used to be hijacked and we're hijacking it back. So,
Yeah, I love that. By the way, that is one of my favorite things to do with clients because it's so empowering for them. And I call it stepping out of the snow globe of their life, because think about the snow globes, right? You shake it up and there's a little blizzard in there and you can't see what's going on outside of it. And so by doing that, we're able to take them to see it on the outside perspective and then to calm down that blizzard so that they can make a new choice. So brilliant. And in essence of time, we're definitely going to move to telling you what those next steps are, because if I just let Cormac talk, he will tell you literally everything and we'll be here for days. So we want to value your time and ours, of course. And so I'm actually going to share my screen here in a moment. And Cormac, I'm going to let you start to tell them about what we have in store for them if they want to know all the secrets, because believe me, he holds nothing back.
Thank you, Jodie. So, yes, I need kind of Jodie to steer me and guide me, or that's the talking, giving it all out. So by now you're probably thinking by now about, like, okay, this all sounds great, but like, how can I get this working for my clients? So that's why we've created a training program. So if you'd permit me, very quickly, I'm going to show you a little bit about the training program. We've created a 3-day training program. For those of you that are in the States or that like to travel over there, we are holding it in October in Chicago. But also it's going to be available online. It'll be live online for you. So we talked about why hypnotherapists avoid working with addiction, because they don't have like the right tools to feel confident enough to do it. So we've created a framework that's almost like a kind of plug and play framework that we show you how you can either set up for 3 sessions or 5 sessions, and what's the difference and what are the things you need to understand to suggest 3 sessions or 5 sessions to a client. So it's a new approach to hypnotherapy for addiction. So I've been working myself for years and years in addiction, and I have built a reputation in the kind of work that I do, because I work mostly on solution-focused hypnosis. So it does what it says in the tin. It's solution-focused. It's about how can we get this person from where they are to where they want to be, and what's the quickest way we can do that. And that's been my focus for years. Now, when I heard Jodie speaking at a conference in Missouri earlier this year, Jodie speaks a lot about trauma-informed hypnotherapy, and what I began to see was, like, there's something deeper. We all know that, like, behind most addictions, that there's a kind of deep-rooted trauma. And while the solution-focused approach does help for them to overcome that addiction, when we can add in this trauma-informed approach, we're having clients come to us now with an addiction. We have not just to solve the addiction, but to solve the underlying problems, that you're actually really changing lives by doing this. So we've decided that we would merge these two things together in what we believe is a world first. And I stand to be corrected, but by bringing these two things together in this training program, you will be equipped with everything and anything you need to help an addict not only get rid of the unwanted behavior, but to resolve all the underlying issues that created in the first place. So we know that what we say, the issue is never the issue, right? So they'll come to you with an addiction, but we know there's always something at a deeper level that's behind that. This training is designed to cover all of that. We've developed a solid framework that you can literally plug into, that makes working with your clients easy. It makes working with addiction really, really easy. What you're going to notice is you actually look forward to this kind of work. Like, you feel excited about it. Hopefully you can hear in my voice the kind of passion I bring to it. You're going to feel that, because you will have the confidence of knowing exactly what you're going to do, exactly what you're going to say, exactly the tools that you can use. And just by the way, as another aside, the tools that we'll be teaching you to use, you can use them in pretty much every other thing as well, far beyond addiction. We're specializing here in addiction, but you'll be able to use them for weight loss, you'll be able to use them for confidence building, you'll be able to use them for public speaking confidence, all these other areas as well.